Happy Monday, YouTube. Hope you guys are having a great one. I wanted to get on here and talk to all of you guys that are considering building a life insurance agency, a sales organization. And a lot of you guys that are new to the business are immediately attracted to the business that's involved with hiring somebody else to sell insurance. And it's obviously very lucrative. But again, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it and having success. I mean, how hard could it really be, right? You go out there and hire a bunch of people. You got a great program. You got great leaders, great mentors. How hard could it really be? Well, it is challenging. And what makes it even more challenging is if you can't afford it. Because if you can't afford it, you're going to be faced with a lot of challenges that come with building an agency. And what do I mean by that? Well, let's break it down. If this is your first year in the insurance business, you can either sell insurance personally, or you're being encouraged to recruiting a team to sell insurance. So let's break it down to simple math. If you were just a producer, an agent that's just worried about your sales, and you're looking to gross $100,000 your first year, well, then your focus would be to sell one application a day every month. 20, 30 applications a month. That would be your goal. You would have to go out and knock on doors, talk to friends and family, buy leads, whatever you're doing to generate that 20, 30 application a month is going to be the cost that you got to put up. And then you have to go out there and see the people, write the applications, service the policies. If you do 20 to 30 applications a month, you'll gross over $100,000. On the other hand, if you want to gross $100,000 building a team, well, let's just say that you're building a team, you got great contracts, and you're giving your downline agents great compensation, competitive, and you're taking 10%. Well, in that case, you have to go out and find the people. In this case, you would have to find maybe 10 people that are full-time, that are dedicated. You got to show those 10 people how to write at least $100,000 their first year in final expense insurance. 12 months. Week in, week out. So you'd have to help 10 approximately write around $100,000 a year, which at the end of the year would be about $1 million in annualized premium that you and your agency collectively wrote. Well, 10% on $1 million, that would be $100,000. Shoot, let's say you got 20% override. That would be $200,000. But do you get the idea here? And that is that, unfortunately, for a lot of new people, when they get into this business, they immediately start recruiting. They immediately jump into this builder mentality, but they themselves haven't dominated their craft, haven't perfected their craft, haven't been in the business long enough to have consistent success where they can duplicate it again. So imagine if you're starting out and your goal is to make $100,000 your first year, does it really make sense to do it by recruiting? And that's a question you got to answer. Because if you're an influencer and you can recruit a bunch of people, then yes, you're going to sell a lot of insurance simply because you're recruiting the people, the body count, to distribute the policy. Or you can focus on yourself and going out, writing a bunch of business, whether over the telephone, knocking on doors, and build your income that way. If it was easy, everyone would do it. When I see an agent that's producing himself and at the same time they're building, somewhere along the lines, that system breaks, because if the agent can't afford to keep going forward, they're not going to make it. Another thing about building a team, ladies and gentlemen, is the sad truth that sometimes when you're helping somebody else in this industry, it's easy for you as the agency owner to want to see everyone succeed. I mean, there's really no agency owner that I've met that didn't want to see their people succeed. We all want to see our agents succeed. But the danger comes when we want it more than the agent wants it for themselves. And that happens a lot. Sometimes you can be putting up all this energy, all this training, all this development into people, and those people just don't want it bad enough. And if they don't want it bad enough, they're not going to go out and duplicate the results simply because they don't want it. You can go through a lot of people, and that's also another side of building that can be hard, because just because you got 10 doesn't mean those 10 are going to work out. You're going to find that a lot of them go on and you got to replace them with somebody else. So I've always recommended that if you're going to build an agency, do it until you can afford that. And again, how do you know if you can afford it? A rule of thumb is if your personal residuals cover your bills, then that's a good indicator that you can show somebody else, because your personal bills are paid for. And now the time that you sacrifice to show somebody else how to do it, it's not going to break you. How many times have you seen agency owners that had 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 people? They put up all this energy into training those people. They invested in leads, training, flights, seminars. And 6 months later, those people are gone. That happens all the time. So, if it was easy, everyone would do it. And remember, if you want to make $100,000, you can do it writing policies yourself, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you write one a day, that grosses over 100,000. Do the math. If you do 2, over 200,000. If you do 3, over 300,000. And the beauty about that is that you as an agent, you're in control. You're showing up on time. You're putting in the hours. The results are a direct reflection of your efforts. On the other hand, when you're building out a team, Your results are going to be a reflection of, yes, your efforts, but also your teammates' efforts. And I hate to say it, but sometimes those teammates don't want it as bad as you do in terms of growth. So I caution you, if you're being encouraged to build out, can you afford it? If the answer is no, what's the rush? Focus on selling insurance yourself. Focus on what you can control. Leads, your time, your energy. Stack up a bunch of renewals and then go out and recruit. I've hired hundreds of agents over the years. A handful of them have had a lot of success, but guess what? A great majority of agents over the years have moved on. That's a fact. So if you're in a position where you're wondering which one or the other, I would opt to start selling personally until you get everything in order. And then once you have it in order, start recruiting. If you're already recruiting, then I would encourage you to put it down on the weekends, evenings, on your personal production, because not everyone's going to work like you are. That means that Monday through Thursday, you make sure that all of your personal sales are done for you and your family. Then you got Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to recruit or build or train somebody else. But if you put all your eggs in one basket too early, it can cost you. So with that said, I hope you guys have a great week and see you guys at the top. Peace.